You've definitely seen it before, right? That little ISO 9001 certified badge on a website or a product. It's so easy to just gloss over it, chalk it up to some boring business jargon. But what if I told you that behind that simple logo is this incredible story? A story about humanity's long, long search for quality and for trust.
Okay, so to really get what ISO 9000 is all about, we have to go way, way back. I'm talking ancient history. Because this whole idea of needing standards, well, it isn't some new thing cooked up in a boardroom. It's a deeply human concept. I mean, just look at this. You can draw a straight line through thousands of years of history. The ancient Egyptians had to standardize the stone blocks for the pyramids, otherwise, the whole thing falls down. Fast forward a few thousand years, English kings are putting a special mark on gold and silver to prove it's the real deal. Then you get the US military creating its first ever quality program. See the pattern here? It's the same story over and over. We create formal ways of working to make sure we get consistent results.
So let's jump to the modern era and see how this whole quest for quality turned into the system we have today. And this is where it gets interesting, because ISO 9000 probably isn't what you think it is.
Yeah, most of us, we hear ISO 9000, and we think it's just one single giant rulebook. But it's not. It's actually a whole family of 18 different standards, and each one has its own very specific job to do.
And this chart breaks down that family structure perfectly. You've got the fundamentals. Think of that as the dictionary. It just defines all the words, so everyone's speaking the same language. Then you have the requirements. That's the one you've heard of, ISO 9001. That's the actual test you have to pass. And then there are the guidelines, which are kind of like having a coach, helping you get better. The whole system is designed so that a company in one country can trust the work of a company in another. Okay, so 18 standards. That's a lot. Where do you even start? Well, let's just zoom in on the two big ones, the two heavy hitters that really tell you everything you need to know about the system's purpose. This comparison right here is so important. The easiest way to think about it is this. ISO 9001 is the final exam. It's what a company gets certified against to prove they can do what they say they can do consistently. But ISO 9004? That's the study guide for how to get an A+ in the class. It's not for certification. It's the guidebook you use to actually achieve long-term success and make everybody happy, not just to pass the test. And speaking of that test, getting that ISO 9001 certification is no walk in the park. To earn that badge, a company has to meet over 300 individual requirements, 301 to be exact. I know what you're thinking. That sounds ridiculously complicated, right? But the good news is, all 300 of those requirements, they all boil down to this simple, logical framework you see here. It's really just a cycle. Figure out your purpose, make a plan, do the thing, measure how you did, review it, and then figure out how to do it better next time. All right, so now we know the what. We know the standards, we know the requirements, but to really get it, to really understand the value here, we have to pull back the curtain and look at the why. What's the philosophy that holds this whole thing together? This quote right here is the key that unlocks everything. See, ISO 9000 isn't meant to be a rigid rulebook that you have to follow word for word. It's a set of guiding principles. They're meant to be flexible guides for action, not strict, unbreakable rules. And that distinction, it changes everything. And here they are. These 7 principles are basically the soul of the entire system. Things like customer focus, leadership, making sure your people are engaged. Every single one of those 301 requirements we talked about exists for a reason, and that reason is to support one or more of these core ideas. This is the why behind all the what. Okay, this brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway in this whole explainer. It's about a critical shift in mindset. A shift that separates the companies that get real, tangible value from ISO 9000 from the ones that just end up with a fancy certificate for the wall. So here's the deal. You can implement the standard. That's the wrong way. That's when you're just checking boxes, fulfilling an obligation, and creating a mountain of paperwork that has nothing to do with your real business. Or you can apply the principles. That's the right way. That's when you use them to actually improve your system, to give people what they need, and to get real, bottom-line business benefits.
The source material for this explainer had this absolutely perfect analogy. Just mindlessly implementing ISO 9001 without actually changing how you do things, it's like a doctor giving you medicine for a health problem, but you keep on with the exact same bad habits that caused the problem to begin with. You're just treating a symptom. You're not actually getting healthier.
So, after our little journey from ancient Egypt all the way to modern management theory, what's the one big idea you should walk away with?
Let's be crystal clear about this. The goal is not the certificate. The certificate hanging on the wall is not the prize. The real prize is building a better, smarter, more efficient organization that consistently makes its customers happy. The standard is just a tool. It's a roadmap to help you get there.
And that leaves us with one final question to chew on. And it doesn't just apply to business, but really to any system we create in our lives. Are we just following the rules for the sake of following the rules? Or are we really focused on the principles behind them to actually build something better?